I want to shift gears here, guys. We have a lot to go, a lot of ground to cover. This is the Hillary Clinton video from last night, and we want to discuss this. Here it is. We can skip all this introduction. Bring him here. Yeah.
Sure that South Carolina became the first state with body cameras. There's more work to be done, but got to lay down these markers. You got to build toward common sense gun reform, criminal justice reform, and all the like. So I think we've got a very, I think we've got somebody staying here. We have to bring them
apologize for mass
to
incarceration.
field. Okay, we'll talk
I'm
about
not a super predator. Hillary Clinton.
Okay, fine, we'll talk
You
about it.
apologize to black people for mass incarceration?
Well, can I talk, and then maybe you can listen to what I say?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. There's a lot of issues in this campaign. The very first speech that I gave back in April was about criminal justice reform
You called black
and
people
about
for predators.
You're being rude.
Whoa.
For predators.
Oh no, she interrupted her.
That's rude.
Yeah, do you want to hear the facts? You just want to
I
talk?
know that you called black youth for predators in 1994. Please explain the record. Explain it to us. You owe black people an apology. You owe people of color an apology.
I'll tell you what, if you will give me a chance to talk, I'll help you. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me before. You're the first person to ask me, and I'm happy to address it, but you are the first person to ask me. Okay, back to the issues. The issues that I think are important.
Okay, back to the issues. So much to be said about that. Number one, and I'm not going to talk long. I'm going to let you guys talk because I don't have much time. Number one, Hillary, you saw Hillary really come out. You saw Hillary really talk condescendingly. You saw Hillary get start to bicker with the young woman. I mean, Hillary really got aggravated in this. And you know what? When you compare it to Bernie Sanders, the first time, Bernie Sanders did get a little indignant at first. The second time, when he got interrupted in Seattle, he simply stood back and let them say what they wanted to say. And the way the media got Bernie Sanders for even Seattle, right? Seattle, where he handed them the mic and he stood back and let them speak. The media still made it like, oh my God, Bernie Sanders is the worst person with regard to Black Lives Matter. And here Hillary Clinton just downright gets in her face, starts shaking her head, you know, saying that, you know, if you let me talk, you know, and then let's get back to the issue. So I am fascinated that not a single piece that I've read today, not a single tweet that I've read today is pointing out Hillary's disposition against this young woman in light of how they did Bernie Sanders. That's number one. Now, I can go on and on and on, but I'm sure, I'm pretty sure you guys probably going to cover everything that I wanted to say. So you could toss a coin. Who wants to go first and talk about this? Nis, your mic is open, so I'll let you go first.
I only commend the woman on her, the young woman on her courage standing up in front of Hillary Clinton and the Secret Service, and being able to actually be aggressive and protesting with her voice, but keeping her body language neutral enough that she's not outright tackled.
Right.
And, well, I kind of agree with you with regards to the netroots. Like Bernie, he was indignant and reserved, and where's this coming from? Let me speak. And not remembering that when he protested, people of power and influence, they were annoyed that what they wanted to do, their normal day of business, got interrupted. And that is what protesting is about.
Absolutely.
Hillary, I don't think she has ever been protested like that, like up close like that in a personal space. Like when Bernie was protested in Seattle, when they got up on the stage, like they were all up, they were extremely aggressive, and the police was told to back off several times. They were in the background. You can see it on some of the videos. They were in the background, and the campaign held them off. And Jane also helped hold the police officers off, and then they got the stage. Now, imagine what would have happened at this meeting if they have been as I mean, shots would have been fired.
Yeah, that's and actually the young woman's bravery. I can't say it enough. She was stunningly brave, collected, and a lot of people are saying she was rude. No, that was one of the most polite protests that I have ever seen. Succinct. She did not raise her voice. She simply said what she had to say. Who else's line is open? Noah, is your line open, or Solomon? Well, Solomon's in the room. Solomon, what's up? And we'll let you go. We'll be just chauvinist pigs tonight and let Noah go last. Go ahead, Solomon.
Well, hello everybody, and what I would say is Sean King posted a Facebook post in the aftermath of this, and if Sean, I know you watch the show occasionally, if you're listening, this message needs to be brought out. The way Hillary has reacted and adapted over the course of these campaigns, as both campaigns have been interrupted by Black Lives Matter, should be an indication, at least somewhat, as to what their interactions would be with her as president. How much she's really willing to listen to you in these closed-door meetings when you get animated and are trying to push her on certain issues where she feels she has a comfort zone to not really have to listen or pay you any mind anymore because the election's over. That's the first thing. And the second thing was something that he posted on Facebook, which is just eliminating this argument that I've seen CNN, or not CNN, but MSNBC play the CNN card all of a sudden, from Chris Hayes to Joanne Reed to all these people saying, well, Bernie voted for the 1994 crime bill, so it's 50-50.
Right.
It's not 50-50 at all. And this isn't me being, oh, I love Bernie, so I'm going to make an excuse. It's the facts. When I looked this up, because early on in like the fall when I was first supporting Bernie, I did think it was weird looking back that he voted against the 91 crime bill and had this impassioned speech against crime and the reason this crime bill is being passed. In 94, said the same thing about the 94 crime bill, but then voted for the crime bill. It was weird. So I researched it and I made sure that when I looked things up, I was looking at articles before this election started. So when Bernie was just a nobody and people would just talk about what actually happened during that time. And what I learned is that there were two big amendments that were used as catnip or bait for progressives to give them to make it almost impossible, to make it a very tough decision as to which way they would go forward, so enough of them would vote to get it through, so it wouldn't fail like the 91 crime bill. And that those two things were an assault weapons ban, and even the more important one for Bernie, it seemed, the Violence Against Women's Act. Those were very big provisions that were added specifically by the administration, the congressional leadership, to bring in more votes by saying that if you vote against this, you voted against battered women's reform and assault weapons bans. And if Bernie had voted against it, you can be sure that it would be Bernie's a Bernie bro that doesn't care about battered women or assault weapons bans, and he's a gun nut. So it's on the political sense, it wouldn't have won either way. And Bernie made sure to argue in '94 that all against to make sure it was clear that he did not support these amendments. Now, with that, you can say he should have voted no anyway. John Lewis and a few members of the Congressional Black Caucus, most of them did vote for it, but a few didn't. And so and that argument can be made, but that is not the argument that is happening on the media. That would be smart argument, smart journalism, if what's happening instead is drive-through junk food journalism, which is she was pushing this with her husband, she was fighting for tough-on-crime bills, they were fighting for the whole conservative tough-on-crime amendment, but Bernie voted for it. No other context. 50-50.
Right. No nuance. No nuance whatsoever.
50-50. 50-50. Just in case that argument starts making inroads with African Americans.
Right. And that's one of the things, and I'm gonna throw this to Noah. One of the things that pisses me off the most about this election is that it requires Hillary Clinton's arguments really require that you have no nuance whatsoever. Don't understand why he voted for it. Just know that he voted for it, so everything can be a wash. And in my opinion, that's swift voting. That's you want to sully that person's reputation and what they've done so much that no matter how good of a thing that they've done, it's all a wash. It's 50-50. It's just he's just as bad as Hillary. Noah, it's in your hands.
So following up with what Solomon was saying, it most definitely is something that her black supporters use. Well, he voted for it, so if he voted for it, if she wasn't even in Congress at the time, and Bill was the president, and Joe Biden drafted the bill, and this, that, and the other, and then, it's like, look, okay, the issue isn't about who voted for it. I mean, yes, people vote for bills, and some bills are bad. I mean, she voted for the Iraq War. That was a really bad vote. However, Bernie Sanders did not actively lobby for increased funding for prisons. Bernie Sanders did not actively lobby to make sure that the private prison industry grew to what it is today. Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders in 1996, when Bill Clinton was running for re-election, did not try to use what was already declining youth crime, had already been declining long before she made the comments, did not use racist imagery to bolster the fact that the Clintons were tough on crime and they were going to be the right ones to run the country. No, Bernie Sanders didn't do any of that. So the difference is, okay, yes, he voted for it. No, he doesn't get a pass for voting for it. He needs to be brought to heel, so to speak, for his vote. But at the same time, when you look at the rest of his voting record, he has been staunchly against different things that would have eroded constitutional provisions when we're talking about criminal procedure in terms of wireless warrantless wiretapping, and there was, I think it was either a 96 or a 97 juvenile crime bill that would have further expanded. I could be getting the years wrong, but it's after the 94 one. There are several crime bills and attempts to add increased penalties and more time on for juveniles that he came down decisively against. So that you can use that as the whole body of evidence when you're looking at their records on this type of issues. Actively promoted. And you can say, oh, well, she was just the first lady, she wasn't president. I hate that argument because you people, yes, you Hillary supporters,
Oh, come on. Oh, God, you were going in and then you froze. Ah, I know you were going.
Take off your cam. It'll promote the your connection to just focus on the audio.
Yeah, we lost her. She was getting ready to go in. You Hillary people, don't forget it when you come back. I'll remind you. Okay, so we have. Let me just to give everybody a heads up. We have Hank. He is our Chicago correspondent, and he's live at the Bernie Sanders event. And he's going to be streaming some live footage of Bernie Sanders rally. This will be the first time we're doing this. And of course, Noah, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I just turned my camera off to see if that would be
okay.
better.
All right, so finish that rant, please. You're getting ready to say, you Hillary people something.
But you Hillary people, the fact that she's first lady, if you're going to count her first lady experience, you need to count all of it. I mean, she was an activist. They call her an activist first lady. So she actively was involved and engaged. Same with welfare reform. There's some really great articles we posted in the subreddit today for Justice Week that compared the two of them, particularly on that specific issue. And she actively championed certain policies and used language and imagery that was disproportionately negative towards black people, black youth. And let's just be real. That whole super predator thing, that's the same culture and that's the same mindset that led into the Central Park 5 wrongfully accused for the rape of the Central Park jogger, a white woman jogging in Central Park back in the late 80s. That same mindset had 5 young men, 5 young boys wrongfully convicted who ultimately were exonerated. But that mentality locked up so many people wrongfully. It's the reason why young men today are stop and frisk and are harassed. So no, I'm sorry, she doesn't get a pass from me.
And here's the other thing. Not only she clearly doesn't get a pass. She clearly was an activist first lady. She clearly had political influence over the entire administration of the Clinton administration. I agree with you. If you're going to take the good, you have to take the bad. But here's the other thing. Does it matter why a person promotes or... One second, let me do this for my guy who's just joining in. Does it? Are we really saying? Are we really at the point in liberal thought and progressive arguments where we're saying it doesn't matter why somebody does something? It just matters that they did it. And so, in a sense, it does not matter that Bernie Sanders voted for this bill expressly because of the Violence Against Women Act and spoke out against the other components of the act. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that he voted for it. And then they simultaneously say it doesn't matter that Hillary Clinton says that she super predators. It doesn't matter that she lobbied for longer sentences and harsher sentences. All that matters was she didn't vote for it. Is this really the obtuse world that we're going to allow progressivism to sink down into just for the purposes of shielding and protecting Hillary Clinton? Let me take this caller who's been so